it's nature. It's very natural. Um, it difficult to explain, but it's very natural. So it's like at what time of my life am I going to finally put this out there? And today's that day. Um, to where like people need to watch out, people need to look out, people need to understand, people need to be aware, people need to like check their kids, ask their kids questions. More than just is everything all right? It's almost like going to a doctor's office, but doing it in a communication type of way, um, which any parent can do with their child by just simply sitting down and talking, responsibly, not being afraid to ask certain questions, and just knowing how to communicate so you can understand how your child can be different one day or different the next day. Same with an adult or a spouse or wife, husband, whatever it is. Um, you know, Manifestation, like it's about us receiving certain things that we need to be aware about. Now, manifesting, that's us, like as human beings, as people, like we're manifesting. Um, like it's about being aware. It's about being conscious. Consciousness. It's about knowing what you want. It's all about like knowing your path, knowing, you know, your scheduling like ahead of time. Like you're premeditating something in life, basically. Like if you're gonna look for a job, or you want a certain job, or you want to go to school, or you want to buy a car, or you want to buy a house, or whatever, you're gonna like plan for it ahead of time, right? And then you're gonna put your effort into it, and so forth. And so that's like manifesting. And so there's many ways to do that, in the physical part of life, but in the mental part of life, it's like you can also manifest the proper way by taking care of personal issues and stuff like that. And that would be manifesting as well. And so taking care of the proper personal issues that you can, whether it has to do with anything in life, it can be any type of emotional behavior that you've gone through, or emotional pain, or any type of trauma, or any type of anything that has to do with the mental part of things. And manifesting, it's a big thing when it comes to the mental part, because it can definitely affect another person, but in a proper way. It can definitely do something good for other people, but if they don't want it, then that's their choice. But it does cause, it has an effect. There's always a cause and effect. But there's nothing ever bad about taking care of, mental issues or personal issues, however you want to label them, just depending on the levels of each individual problem. Um, and there's so many levels of issues when it comes to that I've understood by working with people and stuff like that. Um, it's an experience going through it, and it's also an experience helping other people. And there's always different outcomes. What happens in the mental part of the manifesting is that it allows the other person to freely um, think about things. For example, like I went through some things, a few years back, like 3 years back, and analyzed a lot of things in my life and realized, like it's time to get serious about life. It was a major near-death experience, and it made me want to do things different in life, which gave me the option to understand and be able to focus on my choices and decision making and stuff like that. And so when it comes time to like talking to your spouse or your partner about it, it's like, it's very easy to communicate, but maybe not for the other person. And so I took care of some things when it came to relationships and so forth. And the difference between, communicating and not communicating was the person, gets to know like exactly what they're up against in their relationship. In this case, it was something I went through and noticed, which anybody, going through this, they would notice them themselves. But communicating about it is the most easiest part. The most difficult part is not having a partner that responds to the communication. And so that's always, causing things to where you have to be like patient and very calm and just, take your time and communicate and see what happens. But when it comes to the silent part of working on yourself, it's like you'll notice little things here and there where the other person, is a little distraught. But it's like a different type of distraught. It's not like intentionally done. It's just, that you're taking care of your problems and the other spouse may be kind of interpreting them a little bit different than what you are. And so at that point, it's like it can lead them to a pause of life to where they're analyzing and not really knowing what to do, or it's very difficult to explain. But it's proper, because there's only two type of people in life. That's man and woman, right? And so this is like a common problem or common thing when it comes to relationships. Some worse than others, some better than others. It just depends on the situation. But at that point, it's like I've gone through all these things, and a lot of people don't understand is life is tricky. Life is tricky. And I'm not talking about the get a job, take care of your bills, and stuff like that. I've learned that that's the easiest thing to do in life now. Like, I've learned that the bills and working and stuff like that, it could be like, oh, wow, like you're up against something or whatever. And it becomes a routine, and like, paying bills and all that is normal. And everybody, of course, runs into their ups and downs to where they need help in life and so forth. But after what I experienced, it's like, that's the least thing. That's the least problem in life. The mental part is like very hidden. It's very quietly, silently hidden. There's always a difference, and the major difference is between men and women. I've literally witnessed, but it's like I can't communicate because it's like too good to be true, right? It's like one of those things that they say like, okay, yeah, you're right, and it's like, how did this person find out or understand this? But there's no way it's not true. It's like in that denial part that a person would always deny because they don't want to sound like they're crazy. Well, it's interesting. If we're all human and we all have, internal organs, then it's like, wow, we all have the same type of, so to speak, same type of movement, same type of bells and whistles, same type of whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it, but we're all human, right? We all walk, we all smell, we all taste, we all hear, stuff like that. And so it's like, I've understood that a woman can literally get these manifestations or get these connections, and they will trust. Like they will trust in a matter of 2 days, 1 day, probably less than that. Like they will trust their friend or their new friend or their woman, or they will trust that other woman's voice that they hear. They will trust that other woman's voice as a persuasion of convincing that person through their own trigger or through their own want or desire or whatever. These are the things that women have to look out for, you know. My ex-wife and my current wife that, you know, is going through similar things has experienced these things like easily. Like, you know, like it's like, how do you communicate? And I've tried, and it's like, it's, I guess I'm grateful that she has listened a little bit. But it's very important to know that a woman could be working through their issues and trying to change their life around and try to do proper and try to, you know, make a change in life for the better. And it's like any other thing in life where it's like if you know something doesn't suit you in life, or you know something ain't given any type of any being productive, or it doesn't serve a purpose, it's like you're going to try to not do it no more and change that about yourself, right? And so when it comes to stuff like this, it's like, make sure your friend's not that type of friend that's like, oh, it won't hurt a little bit, or oh, a little bit won't hurt you, or oh, you know, like their desire, like the other friend's desire or the other friend's needs or intentions or whatever it is. It's like, be cautious about that, because it becomes a very, very persuasive act that can be very silent and almost controlling, but it's like it gives the woman the okay. It's like asking for advice and you're getting it, and it's like, it's difficult to explain, because another example is like when we go and purchase something in life, we're going to look it up, we're going to ask questions, we're going to try to get the best whatever equipment that we need for the best bargain, right? And so that's like making our decision to purchase something. And then in the way I'm talking about when it comes to the other part with people, it's like, or with, you know, man or women, specifically mostly women, but in this case, it's like a woman's getting the advice or the decision making it okay, like the, oh, okay, it's all right, from another person. So it makes them feel better, even if they're doing something bad, right? And they know it's bad. It doesn't matter the intention, the communication, or whatever it is. It's silently, and it's very manipulative. It sends the other person in the wrong direction that their own friend could be jealous of, or their own friend could have some type of problem with whatever, and the other person don't know. And there's two ways of it. It can be that silent way to where the feelings are very, like the feeling aspect of it is very like overwhelmed, to where the feltness of things take control, right? Because it's too much of a comfortability. So it's like right off the bat, the more comfortability with somebody like that, they don't even need a thought or words. It can already be embedded in their way of, you know, just an example, it's like common sense, right? If you're dehydrated, you're going to drink water, right? And so, like, if something like this were to happen and somebody doesn't like water, and this is just an example, like you got two girls, right? And they're best friends or whatever. And one's going through an issue, and, you know, they're having that I'm dehydrated type of day. And they just got through working out. And the woman's like, one of the women are like, you know, like